Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Neil Haley Show. The Neil Haley Show is heard all over the world on television and radio, and we interview celebrities, authors, educators, businesses, and brands, either in Bethel Park's TV studios or on location all over the world, on the radio and on the phone. So check it out and enjoy the show today. Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Neil Haley Show. You can check me out on Twitter at TotalTutor and NeilHaley.com. And I first want to welcome to the program my co-host, Peter Elvidge. Peter, how are you?
I'm doing awesome, and I'm ready to get some chatting.
So I'm excited to welcome to the program the president and CEO of AACTE, Dr. Lynn Gangone. Dr. Lynn, thanks for calling. How are you?
I'm great. I love that you call me Dr. Lynn. That's what my students used to call me. It's much easier than the last name.
Well, see, I think that's perfect, Dr. Lynn, because we have to, it'll make it easy, and that's the personal thing about education. And see, I'm going to tell you how important what you do and your job in teacher formation and looking at how teachers should be formed. Explain teacher education and how it's such a valuable part of a success of a teacher. If they're not well formed and they're not trained properly, how detrimental that can be to the student and also to the teacher.
Well, at AACTE, we really work very hard to support our institutions to make sure that every teacher is profession ready. And, at this point, I don't know if you know this or not, Neil, but about 90% of all teachers are actually learning the craft, if you will, through institutions of higher education, and we represent over 800 of those. So, absolutely it's critical that teachers be profession ready, and certainly we want to have that for the classroom, for our teachers, and throughout our colleges of education. We're absolutely committed to high quality preparation. That's
so key, and I'll flat out say that there's a lot of intangible qualities a teacher needs, but if they're not qualified and trained correctly in college, and then they're thrown into the classroom, Dr. Lynn, that could become a really, really big problem for that teacher to even want to stay in the profession, right?
Well, I think that, we always work to make sure that obviously the men and women who go through our programs are fully certified and licensed to do the work. And I would say that, certainly in this day and age, with so much need for education, our country depends on an educated citizenry. And so we want to make sure, absolutely, that the teachers are well prepared to lead. And I think very complex and changing environments, right? Today, we know that from 1987 to 2012, for example, the percentages of students of color have changed from 23% to 37%. One of the things we also have seen is that teachers of color have only risen from 12 to 17%. So one of our commitments is to make sure that highly qualified and licensed teacher also has an understanding and appreciation of the cultural competencies that sit inside of our classrooms around the country. We have a much more diverse demographic, and that changes every single day to become even more diverse.
Mm-hmm. Great point. My co-host, Peter Elvidge, is a teacher, but he teaches blind and visually impaired and more adults and stuff. But Peter, what question do you have for Dr. Lynn?
Yeah, so how with what you're doing, how are you finding technology, as we keep advancing into new technology and new accessibility possibilities, how has that helped or influenced what you guys do?
Well, as a faculty member myself, what I know is when I teach, I am always aware of students with different learning needs. There are students who come into my classroom who are differently abled. There are students who come into my classroom who have to manage a set of either physical or learning challenges. There are students who come from different lived experiences, and I think that most strong teachers these days understand and appreciate the need to make sure that the classroom is welcoming to all. That, of course, is not easy when you're in one classroom, but certainly I have seen lots of teachers and certainly school districts do a really good job of incorporating technology.
Yes.
There have been lots of articles recently about some of the work that's been done with some of the leading technology providers in the classroom. We've been doing a lot more work online to support our teacher educators in preparation of teachers, in assessment and in accreditation. So, yeah, I mean, I think the technology is incredibly important. What do you find?
Yeah, I've found it, personally as being a student and then also going into teaching about blindness and visual impairment. It's incredible the new advancements
Yes.
and different things that people are able to do. Like I'm able to be an artist, but I have no visual acuity. My vision is so bad that I can't see what I make for art, but I still do it anyways, using different pieces of technology and different programs.
Mm-hmm.
I guess kind of a personal question is because I'm going to be going out, I'm going to be teaching kind of an intro to blindness and visual impairment. What kind of tips would you have for someone like me who's creating kind of a class and kind of an intro?
Boy, that's a pretty technical question. It sounds like you have one thing that's incredibly important, which is a passion for and enthusiasm for teaching. And I certainly find that is something that is absolutely critical for anyone to have in any profession, but I think particularly in teaching. Tell me more about what it is you're thinking about doing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so one of the examples I plan on doing is kind of having a couple of volunteers, giving them a couple of blindfolds, kind of giving different types of scenarios that blindness and visual impairment users go through, not only for the sake of their personal experiences, but also for those who are watching. Giving time and ability to ask questions and answer questions. I'm still in the really beginning stages of creating this because I don't start until August. But once I get this a little bit more fine-tuned as the weeks go by, that is my plan thus far with some interesting things I'm going to implement.
Mm-hmm. All right, and what level are you teaching? Are they adult students? Are they traditional age, K to 12? Who are you teaching?
So it's going to be high school graduates, college students, as well as employees of the Minnesota Historical Society here in Minnesota. So it's going to be, out of high school to higher up.
Mm-hmm.
Good.
Now, Dr. Lynn, this is where I see the challenges for people going into teaching now compared to, let's just even say 8 years ago, is the fact that not as many people are choosing the teaching profession. And there are lots more expectations to become a teacher and certified than, let's just say, when I was a certified teacher. I guess I still am in Pennsylvania, but when I went through the teacher education program at Duquesne University and went on and did student teaching, there's a lot more expectations through this process, and then even the paperwork and the expectations once they do student teach. What do you feel about these challenges, especially not as many students now choosing education as their major in college?
Well, Neil, you're absolutely correct. I mean, the recent data that we see is that there's been a 30% decrease in enrollees in both the traditional and alternative route programs. And certainly, a state like California, which produces nearly 10, of all teachers in the 10% of all teachers in the U.S., they have seen a 53% decline over the last 5 years in those who have enrolled in teacher education programs. One of the reasons I took this position is because, to me, and while certainly we know that there are many professions that are important, in my opinion, teaching is one of the most important professions.
Truly.
I mean, these are individuals who educate our kids.
Yes.
And yet, the societal respect and value for the teaching profession, as you have well stated, is unfortunately at an all-time low. And we know that students aren't seeking the teaching profession. So we are absolutely dedicated to getting the word out that, yes, despite some of the challenges that you have indicated, that teaching is actually not only an important profession, but it is supposed to be, ideally, a profession that, individuals are highly valued.
Yes.
Highly valued in support, in salary, in support, in, just in general, in terms of, like you said, the complexity of the classroom. We have a lot of member institutions that are doing some really good work in this area. Just to give you some examples, Rowan University partners and recruits candidates for the Camden school system.
Wow.
We have Ball State University that does some work in training teachers for both rural and urban settings. Morgan State University in Maryland, which is just up the road from us, has a partnership with Baltimore City Schools that includes mentoring from teachers in the field for undergraduates and has clinical placements in those schools. So, part of what we're trying to do, I think, is to get greater clinical practice for students so they understand and appreciate the complexity of what they're moving into.
Absolutely, Dr. Lynn. So we're going to take a break. We're going to keep you on the line for maybe 1 or 2 minutes because I do have one more question. Just give us a second.
Okay, great.
You're watching the Neil Haley Show and listening live to the Neil Haley Show. We'll be back in just a moment.
I've shown an interest in making home movies. Me and some buddies would just grab a camera and you just start making these videos, and then you realize at some point that this isn't just a hobby anymore. It's something that you actually want to pursue, and there's this great facility right down the road, BPTV. A lot of people will try to do these productions on their own, and one of the things they don't have is the equipment, but right here is everything she needs in one nice little bundle. There's lights, cameras, reflectors, dollies, all kinds of little knickknacks, like anything that you'd want to use that you would need for a production, you have it right here. Like, it's all right here. You can make your own feature movie just with the stuff from this studio. Come meet Dave Cable, let him show you around, and I think you'll realize that this is something that you could fall into regardless of your level of expertise, whether you're a beginner or even if you're a more advanced learner. There's something here for everyone, and I feel that you just need to come through and just be a part of the experience and just watch and learn, and let Dave be your guide.
We're back to the Neil Haley Show, and I'm with my co-host Peter Alvich and Dr. Lynn Gangone, who is from AACTE. And it's all about the teacher formation process and situations. But let me give you an example of something that absolutely concerns me, Dr. Lynn, is you talk about areas where there are teacher shortages. But there are also areas like Western Pennsylvania where why they're not choosing the teaching profession is because they have no chance of getting a job. And they're not, the recruiting process in the places where there are shortages, they're not able to grab these teachers and coax them out of, let's say, Western Pennsylvania to go find that teaching job and make it so it's a good process. They're already certified. Make it easier to get certified in that other state once they're certified in Pennsylvania. What are you going to do to work on that kind of situation, the areas where teachers are not in high demand, and get them to areas where there is a high demand for new teachers?
Well, I think that's a very good question, and Pennsylvania has always been a state that has been a great producer of teachers. There's some fabulous teacher education programs throughout the state of Pennsylvania, as you well know, since you are a Duquesne graduate. But the state system as well has done a great job of producing teachers.
Yes.
That's not an unusual circumstance. We do find that teachers are able to move between states with reciprocity agreements. Part of, I think, the challenge that at least I'm hearing, Neil, is that teachers need to leave the communities that they wish to serve, because there is, in fact, an opportunity for them to fill their teaching needs. But we have worked hard within the profession to make the transitions to nearby states much easier. For example, I was talking to someone yesterday who teaches in Virginia, and she was talking about how a number of teachers from Pennsylvania do come into Virginia. The other challenge we have, in addition to what you've said, is when we get that teacher from Pennsylvania into Virginia, how do we keep him or her in the classroom? Because teacher retention is also a critical issue that we're looking at.
Great point. And Peter, do you have a question? The direction I'm going with Dr. Lynn in the second segment. We luckily have her. It's been one of those days, Dr. Lynn. But it is one more question for Dr. Lynn before we have to let her go. Do you have a question, Peter?
I actually do not. Sorry.
Oh, that's okay. And Dr. Lynn, where's the best place we can find information on your organization and stuff? I think it's fabulous. We're going to have you back on again for a longer segment to talk education, maybe a roundtable discussion type of thing. It's an honor that you were able to come on the program today. I have a lot of different issues on my Total Education Hour, which is on 88.3 FM WRCT in Pittsburgh on Fridays at 5, that we are really touching upon specific things that involve the teacher education program. But where's the best place when we can find info on you and AACTE? Where can we go?
Well, Neil, thanks for that question. Of course, we have a fabulous website, aacte.org, and anyone can look through the various programs, products, and services that we offer and take a look at our member institutions. You can follow me on Twitter at LYNNMGANGONE, and we also have a Twitter feed through AACTE, which is at AACTE. So we're happy to get more followers, and certainly, Neil, I have looked at your work. I'm happy to have been part of the show today and really appreciate the invitation to talk about the most important thing, I think, to me and to many others, which is the preparation of our teachers in our country.
Well,
so
I want to thank, because the preparation of preparing me in the classroom has prepared me in the classroom to teach, has taught me to be a very good entertainer and entrepreneur and educating people in all areas of life. And it wasn't great teacher preparation courses like at Duquesne University, I would not be where I am today, educating people in so many ways. So I appreciate you calling. I want to always value what you do and have you back on to show that importance. So thanks again for calling. Take care.
Take care.
Okay, bye-bye. We're going to take a real quick break. You're listening to The Neil Haley Show, and we'll be back in just a moment. Hi, everyone, and we're back to the Neil Haley Show. As I was talking to you before, thanks to Dave Cable, we're in the TV studios today, but the Neil Haley Show goes everywhere. It doesn't matter if I'm in my car, I go after a story. And I met this woman at Oddfest, and she was a delight, but I only could talk to her on the red carpet for a couple minutes. So I'm excited to welcome from the program, CEO of Gemini Systems, Laura Kaspar. Laura, thanks for calling. How are you?
Great. Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Oh, yes. I mean, Laura, it's what you do is amazing. And Peter, you'll just be blown away at how she's helping families all over the world with children with autism and adults. But go ahead, Laura. What were you going to say?
So I have 7 children, and I have 3 on the autism spectrum. And my twins were in very intensive therapy when they were 3 years old. They were both nonverbal, and my son did not respond at all to the therapy. He was not like what we consider a non-responder, and they were telling me he was going to be institutionalized when he grew up, and he would never speak because he just, after months and months of therapy, he still didn't even know.
I think we lost. Just go ahead, and Peter. We'll just keep chatting about how amazing Laura is, because I think she got caught off for a second. She has been nonverbal, and Peter, her work, what she's doing, is absolutely amazing. So I think we lost her, and I'm gonna pop her off for a second. I'm sure she'll call right back, and we'll jump her back in the line. But what Laura is able to do, Peter, which is absolutely fabulous, and we do have her back on the line. Laura, I know we lost you for a second, so just keep going. What you were talking about, 7 kids, and how many were on the autism spectrum again? Laura, are you there? Okay. Well, Peter, we'll get back into what she's able to do with Gemini, her Gemini systems. But Peter, talking about the autism community, especially the experience I had at Oddfest, I never got the opportunity to share that much with our listeners and viewers all over the world. And that's what I was talking about, why this show is absolutely amazing in so many ways, is that we're able to touch people all over the world and experiences, from calling somebody in Australia. And I think we do have Laura back on the line. Laura, are you back on the line?
I'm back. I'm sorry. I don't know why my phone's dropping, but we'll hopefully get through this.
No, that's okay, Laura. So you're, yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
I developed this method of filming, and that because I saw my son especially was paying attention. He was like interacting with the TV and what was on the video, but not in real life. He was just completely out to lunch when he was with the family. He didn't even look at us. He didn't interact with nothing. No, he didn't understand one single word. So by inventing this new kind of filming, he said his first word the first day he said it. He saw the video. After a week, he was learning 10 words a week. He kind of appeared in language by the time he was 8 years old. He crossed the gifted mean when he was 14. Both he and his twin sister went to college when they were 16.
Oh, my.
And so then I took that method and we developed a platform online, and now we have over 100,000 videos in this very unique method in 5 different languages. It's all over the world. I think through Gemini, I've probably treated more people with autism than anyone in the whole world. We have people who have been nonverbal their whole lives, who in their 40s they start to talk. We have people who, little children who started when they're 2 years old or 2.5 years old. They're going into kindergarten with, like, a 30%, they're going to kindergarten with no symptoms.
Wow.
And we're just starting to roll it out through schools now. It's saving schools billions of dollars because it replaces a lot of the rote work that the therapists are doing, and so the therapists can be focused on more the children who need more help. Who really have like a really low functioning nonverbal children, they get a lot more help because the computer is taking over for the children who are more higher functioning and don't need as much interaction with a person. So we're rolling it out in schools. Insurance companies are starting to cover it. Wisconsin Medicaid.
Oh, that's great.
So
that's fantastic.
It's very exciting. It's very exciting.
Very exciting. Go ahead, Peter. Question for Laura.
I was curious because because it's kind of a video system. Like, what platforms is it available on? Is it just like through you guys? If you have anything like on public social media that people can grab some and take a look at? I'm just curious because I know friends of mine who have autism as well as different families. So I'm just curious about what I can send their way.
So if you go to Gemini.org, they can register and get a week free right off the bat.
Mm-hmm.
And so they can get in and start looking at it and see what's going on with it. If you go to our YouTube channels, there's some sample videos that we have there for different levels. And then if you go on our Facebook channel, there's also some samples. There's also a way to get on our Facebook group where you have thousands. I think there's probably 8,000 parents talking about how they're using it. It's really inexpensive. It's $98 a month for unlimited therapy, which works out to be like, $1 an hour.
Yeah.
Even so, lots of people are having hard, financially it's very difficult when you have a child with special needs. So we give scholarships that bring the price down depending on your need. So all the way down that if you're getting Social Security or welfare as your only source of revenue, then it's only $10 a month.
Now,
it's,
go,
I have
Peter.
a,
Yeah, go ahead, Peter.
oops, sorry.
That's okay. Go, Peter.
I just have I just have a unique question for you because I know that it being kind of a visual platform. Do you have like a non-visual system? Because I know that you probably have people that actually come to you and be like, maybe I can't digest the videos or I can't see the videos. Do you have like an audio format, or is it primarily visual?
well, it's audio and visuals. There's lots of kids that we call peekers, as they look like they're not really paying attention to the video, like they're not even watching. But what you do find is that they gaze up at it once in a while. Parents just have the video then play nonstop in the house on a big TV in like their living room. And because you can cast it, you can do through Roku or through Chromecast, or you can put Apple TV, or you can just put a cord from your tablet. And so what we find is that after a while, these peekers actually are learning. And, after maybe a month or 2 or 3, or sometimes it's been taken 6 or 7 months, all of a sudden their mouths are starting to move, words are starting to come out, their receptive language, so what they understand improves dramatically. And you never think that someone's not paying attention just because they're not looking at it. They may have glanced on it and then they're just listening to it after that.
That's
So we
so.
also have an app that
Yeah.
allows you to take the videos onto a tablet and go offline. So people take it in the car, they take it, these kids who have waterproof cases on their tablets and they're watching them while they're taking a bath. You don't have to be stuck to the internet to do it.
Now,
Awesome.
so what about if they're a little bit older, a student with autism that's nonverbal? Have you seen dramatic growth from somebody not at the younger age, but at a later age, that the parents have been struggling every which way possible to get them to communicate?
Yes, and the vast majority, probably over 90% of the cases, we see receptive language increase. So what they understand improves dramatically. In many cases, I would say maybe half, we start to see dramatic vocal verbal. So their expressive, what they can say, starts to improve. And if you think about it, if you're someone who has no vocal verbal speech, but they understand what you're saying, but they have severe apraxia, which means they just can't get the sounds
Yes.
out. If you're able to get them to say yes, no, mom and dad, just those 4 words, you've changed their life. They can say yes or no when you ask them a question. You change their life. So
Yes.
that is, even though you're not increasing their vocabulary by thousands of words, it sure is a life-changing thing. And because of the way our videos are formed, we use X-ray, we use visual and auditory anomalies
Right.
embedded into the editing process. It's super different than any other video. We can get these kind of results with people. I was just at a conference, an autism conference, a few days ago, and I was speaking on apraxia, and a therapist came up to me and she said, I'm here with a young man who's got great receptive skills, but he has no vocal verbal speech. And we were just at the doctor with him the other day, and the doctor says, what do you want? And he spelled out, he had to write, he had to type. He spelled out, I want to talk.
Oh, that's fantastic.
And so she brought my program up to the hotel room with the family. And that very day, that very hour, they put it on for him. He was in the bathroom looking in the mirror
awesome.
and practicing, and he was starting to talk. His parents were crying. He was saying all the sounds were coming out, and he was intent practicing. And so that's what we see with adults who really want to, hey, we'll practice.
Yes.
They're highly motivated, and we see results.
All right, so I know you have a hard stop. Best place we can find information on you really quickly. Where can we go again?
Gemini.org, and Gemini spelled with 2 I's in the middle, so it's GEMIINI.org. But it's so well known, if you just put on in Gemini spelled anyway, autism in Google, it'll come up.
Well, I'm going to definitely refer you to a bunch of people just like Peter. And thanks again for calling. And it was nice meeting you in LA. And take care.
Thank you very much.
That's it.
Bye-bye.
All right, that was the Neil Haley Show, guys. Take care, and we'll be back in just a moment with some next week. We'll be back in next week, but I'll be recording some more. So take care. Thanks for watching the Neil Haley Show. Take care, everyone.